So this is my second. This is probably one of the last videos I make. The last one I'll make for today actually is Fire in the Forge. So stay tuned. So Reverie. Um, this piece is very tricky, especially with bowing, as Miss Nieto said. Save your bow. That's more so the violins though. Yeah, beginning starts on a bow, and don't forget, I like to emphasize a lot on the cellos in my section. There are crescendos and decrescendos a lot in this piece. Pay attention to those. Like, write those down, practice those, listen to the piece. That's what I suggest. I suggest this for this song a lot more than the others. Like, probably this and mantras are the ones that I suggest this piece to listen to the most every day. So, yeah, the beginning starts on an up bow and a mezzo forte. Then it crescendos, and then it decrescendos, and then goes back to the original dynamic. So we can assume that it goes all the way to forte when it goes to measure 3, and at the end of measure 3, which ends on an up bow, by the way, it goes back to dynamic 1, just to clarify. And then you have dotted half notes. And then measure 8. No, actually measure 7. Measure 7. Measure 7 has the same value as the notes in measure 5 and measure 6. It just looks different. And also don't forget about the crescendo and decrescendo for 7 and 8, by the way. And a lot of cellos actually forget that. So yeah. And then you're back to the original dynamic, so probably a mezzo forte. And then you have a C sharp. Then you crescendo, or decrescendo. Oh no, I had a kind of a brain fart. The measure 12, it starts probably on a forte, and then it goes back to mezzo forte for 13. There's also a bow lift there as well. So it doesn't fade into it. You retake and then do it. And then it's the same thing. Measure 13, 13, 14, 15. Then 13, 14, 15, 16. So measure 17 all the way to 21 is this basically the same as measure 1 through 4, except at measure 21. Okay, Charles, real talk. This is our moment. So do not, one of our moments, actually. We have 2 moments in this piece. This is one of them. Do not mess this up. Because everyone else has better parts, and we shine. We shine for the first time, because we're just playing dotted half notes the entire time. And now, we get a melody. And this, and also animato, or how do you pronounce it? So also keep that in mind as well. So, I encourage vibrato on this part a lot, because you really kind of want to play out. Even though it's a mezzo piano, you should still play out a little bit more than they originally intended. So... So the dynamic dies down, and then it crescendos back up. So then you have a string of eighth notes. So yeah, so that was more of a visual demonstration of how to do that part. Yeah, even though if it's like I said, even if it's a mezzo piano, play out just a little bit more than a regular mezzo piano. Yeah, so I recommend doing that. If you're a bottom player, make sure you really are following the other player when they're doing their nice B notes. Yeah, those are also quartered. Those are also dotted quarter notes, so pay attention to those, especially when you're counting. Because especially when I was playing this, I found myself really afraid when playing that I thought it'd be too late or too early. In my case, the conductor kind of counts us off a little bit, but I don't know how it's actually going to play in a real concert. So be prepared to memorize. This is what I mean by listening to the pieces. When you listen to the pieces, you also get an idea on how long each of these are, because you can't really count half and then like one. It'd be kind of hard to do that mentally, and also playing notes with style and vibrato, and playing out like that. Now 29. The only issues I found when playing this part is when you go from a D sharp to the A and then back down to G F sharp, D and B. Because then most people would actually stay in half position, and then they'd have then they basically have F sharps and E flats or something like that accidentally. So yeah, and also before measure 37, so measure 36, there's a retardando there. So make sure just kind of make sure you don't rush the retardando. Make it very natural. So don't save it for the last few notes. Do it for the entire measure. Then measure 37's tempo 1's back to the original, so the first part of the song. So I'm gonna call these quarters. So measure 1 to measure 20 is the first quarter. Measure 21 all the way to 37 is the other quarter. Measure 37 to 45, 46, 47, 48. Measure 37 to 48 is the third quarter, and 46, 49 to the end is the last one, in my opinion. And I don't need to go over 37 because we just went over that. Yeah, don't forget the crescendos, ball lift. And then our next moment. Like I said, don't mess this up when you play this. So I really want you to play this. Every note is important, but this is our moment. It's a soli, so it's a cello section solo. So. And also that E shift when you shift a third finger on A, that is the money. Make sure you get that shift in tune and right. And also don't overstay the welcome of that. Don't overstay the welcome of that, because then you will end up the violins will be ahead of you, and then you'll be rushing to do that F natural. And then what measure is that actually? 53, 54, 55, 56, 57. Correct me if I'm wrong. But 57. When you do 58 after 57, that's really when the retardando starts. Yeah, from most recordings and performances I've heard and done, the retardando is really at 58, but they wrote it a measure after it. And the pitching part is really kind of one of the hardest things. I mean, it's just two notes. Like, people are like, that's just two notes. How can that be? That can be hard. Counting. Since this is the retardando, it's really hard to pinpoint the value of each note. And yeah, and also there's a crescendo again, then a decrescendo. So you kind of the violins will kind of die out a little bit, and then the pitching part kind of just fades away after you do it. So that's it for Reverie. And next is the best one, Fire in the Forge. And golly, I have a ton of tips for you for that one.